What if I told you that the price of a decent dinner for two could literally transform your entire financial future? Not just improve it a little bit, but completely revolutionize how you think about money and wealth building for the rest of your life. Most people spend $100 without even thinking twice about it. Maybe it's a night out with friends, a shopping trip that got slightly out of hand, or those random Amazon purchases that somehow always add up to exactly $99 and change. But here's something that's going to blow your mind. That same $100 invested every single day could turn you into a millionaire. And I'm not talking about some get-rich-quick scheme or cryptocurrency lottery ticket. I'm talking about cold, hard mathematics that has been creating millionaires for decades. If you've ever wondered what it would actually take to accumulate $1 million without winning the lottery or starting the next big tech company, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up changing how you think about money forever. Now, before we dive into the numbers, let me ask you something that are going to shock. When you think about millionaires, what comes to mind? Maybe you picture someone driving a Ferrari, living in a mansion, or throwing money around like confetti. The reality is far different and honestly much more encouraging than most people realize. The typical millionaire in America is someone who started investing early, stayed consistent, and let mathematics do the heavy lifting. They didn't need to invent anything revolutionary or inherit money from rich relatives. They just understood something that most people completely miss. Here's what blows my mind about human psychology. People will debate whether to buy name brand cereal or generic to save $2, but they'll completely ignore investment opportunities that could literally change their entire financial trajectory. They'll spend hours researching which streaming service offers the best value, then never spend 5 minutes learning about compound interest. It's like being incredibly careful about pennies while letting thousands of dollars slip through your fingers. The secret that wealthy people understand and broke people ignore is that money has the ability to multiply itself over time, but it only works if you give it the chance. Every dollar you invest today doesn't just sit there waiting for you to retire. It starts working immediately, earning returns, and then those returns start earning their own returns. This creates a snowball effect that becomes absolutely incredible over long periods of time. Let me show you exactly how powerful this really is with some numbers that are going to surprise you. If you invest exactly $100 every single day and earn an average return of 8% annually, which is actually quite conservative compared to historical stock market performance, you'll have your first $100,000 in less than 3 years. But here's where it gets interesting. Your second $100,000 doesn't take another 3 years. It takes significantly less time because now you have that first $100,000 working alongside your daily contributions. By year 5, you're looking at over $400,000. By year 7, you've crossed the $600,000 mark. And somewhere around year 8, you officially become a millionaire. 8 years. That's less time than it takes most people to pay off their student loans or car payments, yet somehow they think building wealth takes forever. But let's address the elephant in the room that everyone's thinking about right now. Where am I supposed to find $100 every single day to invest? That's $36,500 per year, which is more than some people make at their jobs. I hear you, and you're absolutely right to question whether this is realistic for your situation. But here's what's fascinating about this strategy. You don't actually need to start with $100 per day. The principles work exactly the same way regardless of the amount you begin with. Maybe you can only invest $50 per day right now. You'll still become a millionaire. It'll just take a few extra years. Maybe you can only manage $25 per day. You're still going to build substantial wealth over time. And as your income grows throughout your career, you can increase your daily investments accordingly. The key isn't the specific dollar amount. The key is understanding that consistent daily investing creates exponential growth in ways that most people never experience. Think about it this way. Most people approach investing like they approach dieting. They get motivated, make dramatic changes for a few weeks, then burn out and go back to their old habits. They might invest $1,000 one month, then nothing for the next 6 months, then maybe $500 when they feel guilty about not investing. This sporadic approach never builds real momentum because compound interest needs consistency to work its magic. Daily investing is completely different. It creates a mindset where building wealth becomes as automatic as brushing your teeth. You're not making huge sacrificial decisions once in a while. You're making small, manageable decisions every single day that compound over time into something truly remarkable. And here's something that will probably surprise you. Most millionaires weren't created through one big investment win. They were created through boring, consistent habits that most people would consider unremarkable. The person who becomes a millionaire through daily investing isn't necessarily smarter than everyone else. They're not necessarily more disciplined or more motivated. They just understood something about time and mathematics that gives them a massive advantage. They realize that starting early and staying consistent beats trying to time the market or find the perfect investment opportunity. While everyone else is waiting for the ideal moment to start building wealth, they're quietly accumulating assets every single day. Now, some of you might be wondering about the specific investments that make this strategy work. After all, earning 8% annually isn't guaranteed, and choosing the wrong investments could completely derail your plan. This is a legitimate concern, but it's also simpler to address than most people think. For the vast majority of investors starting out, a simple index, especially those just fund that tracks the total stock market, is perfectly adequate for building wealth over time. The S&P 500 has averaged over 10% annually for decades, even accounting for major crashes, recessions, and world wars. You're not trying to beat the market with some complicated strategy. You're trying to participate in the long-term growth of human innovation and productivity. The most successful investors are often the most boring ones because they understand that consistency trumps creativity when it comes to building wealth. Here's something else that makes daily investing so powerful. It automatically implements something called dollar cost averaging, which means you're buying more shares when prices are low and fewer shares when prices are high. This smooths out market volatility over time and actually helps your returns in the long run. When the market crashes, which it will periodically, your daily investments are buying shares at discount prices. When the market recovers, which it always has historically, those discounted shares become incredibly valuable. This brings us to something that most people completely underestimate when they think about building wealth. The power of starting early cannot be overstated, and it might be the most important factor in determining your financial future. Let's talk about something that's going to sound absolutely insane until you see the actual mathematics behind it. If you're 25 years old right now and you start investing $100 every single day, you'll retire with over $5 million. Not $1 million, $5 million. And if you're thinking that sounds too good to be true, you're experiencing the exact same reaction that keeps 95% of people broke for their entire lives. They hear numbers like this and immediately assume there's some catch or hidden complexity that makes it impossible for regular people. But the reality is that the mathematics are straightforward, the strategy is simple, and the only real requirement is consistency over time. Yet somehow, most people will spend more energy researching which phone to buy than they'll spend understanding how compound interest could change their entire financial trajectory. Here's what's really fascinating about the timeline of wealth building through daily investing. That first 100,000 feels like it takes forever to accumulate. You're grinding away, investing every day, watching your account balance grow slowly, and questioning whether this whole thing actually works. But once you cross that 100,000 threshold, something remarkable happens that most people never get to experience. Your money starts doing more of the work than you do. Instead of your contributions being the primary driver of growth, your investment returns become the dominant force. This is when you realize why wealthy people seem to get wealthier almost effortlessly. It's not because they have access to secret investments or insider information. It's because they've reached the point where their money is generating substantial returns automatically. By the time you hit 200,000, which happens much faster than that first 100,000, you're earning roughly $16,000 annually just from investment growth. That's more than some people make working part-time jobs, except this money shows up without you having to do anything beyond maintaining your daily investment habit. When you reach 500,000, your portfolio is generating around $40,000 per year in returns. At this point, your investments are earning more annually than many people's salaries, and you haven't had to work a single extra hour to make it happen. This is the financial freedom that most people dream about but never actually pursue because they don't understand how achievable it really is. But here's where the psychology of daily investing becomes absolutely critical, and it's something that separates successful wealth builders from people who start and stop repeatedly. When you invest once per month, you make 12 financial decisions annually. Each decision requires willpower, motivation, and the mental energy to remember to actually do it. When life gets stressful or you're having a bad month, it's easy to skip that investment and tell yourself you'll make investing completely changes this dynamic. Instead it up later. Daily of 12 high-stakes decisions per year, you're making 365 small, almost insignificant decisions. Missing one day doesn't derail your entire strategy because tomorrow brings another opportunity to stay on track. This frequency creates momentum that becomes incredibly difficult to break once you establish the habit. Think about how this compares to other areas of your life. People who exercise daily find it much easier to maintain their fitness routine than people who try to work out for 2 hours once per week. The daily habit becomes automatic, while the weekly commitment requires constant motivation and planning. Wealth building works exactly the same way. Now let's address something that's probably making you uncomfortable right now. $100 per day sounds like an enormous amount of money to invest, especially if you're currently living paycheck to paycheck or struggling to save even small amounts. But here's what most people miss when they think about this strategy. You don't need to find $100 per day immediately. You need to build toward that amount over time. Maybe you start with $20 per day, which is roughly the cost of lunch at most restaurants. As your income increases throughout your career, you gradually increase your daily investment amount. The person who starts investing $20 daily at age 25 and increases that amount by just $5 every 2 years will still build substantial wealth over time. But here's something that will probably change your entire perspective on spending money. Once you understand what $100 per day could become over decades, you'll start looking at every purchase through a completely different lens. That expensive dinner isn't just costing you $100 tonight, it's potentially costing you several $100s in lost compound growth over the coming years. This doesn't mean you should live like a monk and never enjoy anything. It means you'll become more intentional about where your money goes. You'll start distinguishing between purchases that bring genuine value to your life and purchases that are just impulse decisions or social pressure. The wealthy think about opportunity cost constantly, not because they're cheap, but because they understand what money can become when it's invested properly. Here's another factor that makes daily investing so powerful, and it's something that most financial advisors don't emphasize enough. When you invest the same amount every single day, regardless of market conditions, you're automatically implementing one of the most effective investment strategies ever developed. During market downturns, your daily investments buy more shares at lower prices. During market rallies, you're still participating in the growth even though you're buying fewer shares. This approach removes all the guesswork and emotional decision-making that destroys most people's investment returns. You're not trying to time the market or predict which direction prices will move. You're simply participating consistently, which historically has produced better results than any market timing strategy. The mathematics behind this are compelling, but the psychology might be even more important. When you invest daily, market volatility becomes less frightening because you know you're buying assets regularly regardless of short-term price movements. Instead of panicking when your account balance drops during market corrections, you realize you're getting stocks at discount prices. Most people do exactly the opposite. They get excited and invest more when markets are rising and prices are high. Then they get scared and stop investing when markets fall and prices are low. This buy high, sell low mentality is precisely why the average investor significantly underperforms the overall market over time. Daily investing forces you to behave like a successful investor even when your emotions are telling you to do something stupid. It's like having a financial advisor who never lets you make impulsive decisions based on fear or greed. And the best part is that this advisor works for free and never takes vacation days. But let's talk about something that most people completely ignore when they think about building wealth through daily investing. The tax implications of your strategy can either accelerate your path to millionaire status or significantly slow it down, and most people choose the wrong approach without even realizing it. If you're investing $100 daily in a regular taxable investment account, you're going to owe taxes on any dividends you receive and capital gains taxes when you eventually sell your investments. This isn't necessarily bad, but it's not optimal either. The wealthy understand that minimizing taxes is just as important as maximizing returns, and they structure their investments accordingly. This is where tax-advantaged retirement accounts become absolutely critical to your success. A Roth retirement account allows you to invest money you've already paid taxes on, and then all future growth happens completely tax-free. Think about what this means for your daily investing strategy. Every dollar of growth in your Roth account stays in your pocket instead of being shared with the government. Let's put some numbers to this. If your daily investing strategy generates $2 million over 30 years, and you're in a 25% tax bracket when you retire, you could owe $500,000 in taxes if that money is in a regular investment account. But if it's in a Roth account, you keep every penny of that $2 million. The contribution limits for these accounts might seem restrictive at first. You can only contribute a certain amount per year to retirement accounts, which is currently around $6,000 annually for most people. But here's where strategic planning becomes important. You maximize your tax advantage space first, then use taxable investment accounts for any additional daily investing beyond those limits. Your employer's retirement plan might also offer matching contributions, which is essentially free money that accelerates your wealth-building timeline. If your company matches 50 cents for every dollar you contribute up to 6% of your salary, you're getting an immediate 50% return on that portion of your investments before they even start growing in the market. Now, let's address something that's probably been bothering you since the beginning of this conversation. Where exactly are you supposed to find $100 every single day to invest? This isn't just about having the money available. It's about restructuring your entire financial life to prioritize wealth building over consumption. Most people approach their finances completely backwards. They pay their bills, spend money on whatever catches their attention, and then try to save or invest whatever's left over. Spoiler alert, there's never anything left over. Successful wealth builders flip this process entirely. They pay themselves first by investing, then live off whatever remains. This means your daily investment becomes as non-negotiable as your rent payment or grocery bill. Before you think about that expensive coffee, restaurant meal, or online shopping spree, your $100 goes toward building your financial future. What's left over becomes your spending money, not the other way around. Here's something that might surprise you about finding this money. The average American household spends over $600 monthly on food, including both groceries and restaurant meals. If you could reduce that by just 25% through meal planning and cooking at home more often, you'd free up $150 monthly right there. The average car payment in America now exceeds $700 per month for something that loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. If you could find a reliable used vehicle and cut that payment in half, you'd have more than enough to fund your daily investing strategy while still getting from point A to point B. Most people spend hundreds of dollars monthly on subscriptions, entertainment, and convenience purchases they barely notice. Streaming services, gym memberships they never use, premium coffee drinks, impulse purchases that seem small individually, but add up to substantial amounts over time. The money is there. It's just being allocated toward consumption instead of wealth building. But here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Once you start thinking about money in terms of its future value, rather than just its present cost, every spending decision becomes a wealth-building decision. That $50 dinner isn't just $50. It's $50 that could become several $100s through compound growth over the coming decades. This doesn't mean you should never enjoy anything or live like a financial hermit. It means becoming intentional about where your money goes instead of letting it disappear into random purchases that don't actually improve your life in meaningful ways. The wealthy distinguish between spending money and investing money, and they prioritize investing first. Here's something else that makes daily investing particularly powerful compared to other wealth-building strategies. It creates what psychologists call a keystone habit, which is a behavior that automatically triggers other positive behaviors throughout your life. When you commit to investing $100 every single day, you naturally become more conscious about all your other financial decisions. You start tracking where your money goes because you need to ensure you have enough for your daily investment. You become more strategic about increasing your income because higher earnings mean you can invest even more. You begin thinking long-term about financial decisions instead of just focusing on immediate gratification. This shift in perspective affects everything from career choices to major purchases to how you handle unexpected expenses. Daily investing becomes the foundation that supports every other aspect of your financial life. The automation aspect of this strategy cannot be overstated in terms of its importance to your success. Most people fail at wealth building not because they don't understand the mathematics, but because they rely on willpower and motivation to make consistent financial decisions. These are finite resources that get depleted throughout the day. By the time evening rolls around and you're tired from work and stressed about life, you're not going to make optimal investment decisions. You'll tell yourself you'll invest tomorrow or next week or next month when things settle down, except they never settle down, and tomorrow never comes. Automation removes all of these decision points. Your daily investment happens whether you're having a great day or a terrible day, whether you're motivated or completely burned out. Whether you remember or completely forget, it's like hiring the most disciplined financial advisor in the world who works for free and never takes sick days. The psychological benefits of this approach extend far beyond just building wealth. When you know you're consistently building your financial future every single day, you sleep better at night. You feel more confident at work because you're not desperate for every paycheck. You make better decisions in general because you're not operating from a place of financial fear or scarcity. Most people spend their entire lives reacting to financial circumstances instead of proactively creating the financial future they want. Daily investing shifts you from reactive to proactive. Instead of hoping things work out financially, you're taking concrete action every day to ensure they work out exactly how you want them to. This confidence affects every area of your life in ways you probably don't expect. You're more likely to negotiate your salary because you're not desperate for your current income. You're more willing to take calculated risks on career opportunities because you have a financial foundation that's growing every day. You make better decisions about major purchases because you understand opportunity cost in real terms. The compounding effect isn't just mathematical, it's psychological. Each day you successfully invest builds momentum for the next day. Each month you see your account balance growing, reinforces the power of your strategy. Each year you watch your wealth multiply, creates unshakable confidence in your financial future. This is why daily investing creates millionaires while sporadic investing creates regret. The mathematics are important, but the psychology might be even more critical to your long-term success. You're not just building wealth, you're building the mindset and habits that create wealth automatically over time. But here's where most people completely misunderstand what it means to become wealthy through daily investing. And this misconception keeps they think wealth building requires them broke for their entire lives. Some kind of superhuman discipline or financial expertise that only certain people possess. The truth is far simpler and honestly much more encouraging. The person who successfully invests $100 every day isn't necessarily smarter than everyone else. They don't have access to secret investment strategies or insider information. They just understood something fundamental about human behavior that most people ignore. Wealth building isn't about making perfect decisions. It's about making consistent decisions that compound over time into something extraordinary. Think about this for a second. You probably know people who earn six-figure salaries but somehow always seem stressed about money. They drive expensive cars, live in fancy apartments, and eat at restaurants where a salad costs $20, but they have zero wealth to show for it. Meanwhile, you might know someone who makes half as much money but has quietly accumulated hundreds of thousands of dollars through consistent investing habits. So there you have it. $100 a day, invested consistently over time, doesn't just make you a millionaire. It transforms you into the kind of person who thinks about money completely differently than everyone else. The mathematics work, the strategy is simple, and the only real requirement is starting today instead of waiting for someday. Your future self is either going to thank you for the decision you make right now, or spend the next 30 years wondering what could have been if you'd just taken action when you had the chance.